All right, welcome back. And now we are working on the lower half of our Bob Ross inspired paint along painting. So I have my sky, clouds, mountains, and this little misty horizon layer. I'm going to create a new layer down here and I'm going to create some hills, just some regular old hills for our trees to stand on. So again, grab your brush. It really does not matter which brush you use. I am on my 7 brush right now. Kind of looks like this. Don't make it too big. And now I'm going to grab my darker green color, like so, and opacity is at 100. That looks fine. And I'm just going to drag this. Once again, you guys see there's like a little ticker line to it. You could change that by going into brush and turning your spacing all the way down to 0 or 1%. And that way you're going to get a smoother brush. See the difference? There we go. So I'm just going to color in some darker green here. Okay, then I'm going to move my green up to a little lighter color. Maybe a more different greener color in the opposite direction. Even lighter green still. Maybe even more brighter green on this side. So there you go. I have a bunch of hills. So one of the things that you can do is you can blur it just a little bit so that it kind of blurs together in the background as well. So it's not so stark. I like this. I did it at 5.6 pixels. That looks fine. Got a nice rolling hills. Okay, so now is the fun part. We're making our trees. Okay, so I'm going to create it right in the middle and then I'm going to move it aside because I want to frame this nice mountainscape. So what I'm going to do is in my brushes, I'm going to grab my 87 brush, turn down the size just a bit so it's not too thick. Go down to your orange so you could get a nice brown color down below and go ahead and just paint in a stump. There we go. You don't want it too thick, otherwise it's going to look terrible later on. So there's my tree stump going straight up. So I want to make this look like an evergreen. So I'm going to be nice and narrow with my leaves up top and get really wide towards the bottom. So back in my brushes, I am going to select the number 7 brush. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to keep it at like 120 so it's not too big. And I'm going to start stamping my leaves. Going back to the green, start with your darker color. You want to put your shadows down first. So I'm going to go really nice dark green. And I'm just going to start stamping randomly. I'm going to keep it tighter up top. You actually might want to even turn your brush size, too much, down a little bit for the top because it gets tighter there. Remember, we can always erase what we don't like and then start spreading out. So my brush is at 77 now. This is actually working really well. And I am spreading out. Oh, look at that. It looks kind of like a Christmas tree already. I'm getting wider when I'm going towards the bottom and I'm stamping this. I'm stamping. You don't want to drag it as much. Well, you could, but personally, I find that stamping it gives you a little bit more control about where you're placing everything. And you want to go all the way to the bottom because these evergreen limbs, they hang pretty low. There we go. Now, I have this one tree. It looks good. It's just a dark color right now. This is nice for a background tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my trees layer and I'm going to drag it into my layers tab and I'm going to make a copy. There we go. There's one. So what's nice about this is I can resize this and I can put it on the side in the background. Just resized it nicely. I like that there. I'm going to copy this layer again using my move tool. I'm going to move it to the side. If you want to, you could flip it so that it looks a little bit more different. You can make it more narrow if you want and resize it. That way you save some time on making some trees. That looks pretty good. So I got 2 tree copies. I'm going to merge them down together so that both of these become one layer. That looks good. Now I'm going to copy them again. And this time I'm going to move it to the other side. Same thing, I'm going to flip them. You could stretch them out if you want. You just don't want them to be too perfect looking like on the other side so that it looks a little bit different. All right, great. So we've got both of these trees framing this side. And if I want to, I can merge it down so that these two trees become in one layer. My original tree is still alone because I'm going to keep working on it. Now I'm going to go back to my brushes and I am going to select a slightly lighter green. And I'm just going to add a little bit more light green on top to add more light because these trees are going to be coming forward a little bit more. Once again, adding some light. There we go. There we go, some light. And so I could even add even brighter yellowish green for that final like highlighting color. The more colors you add, the more definition it has. I'm actually putting them more on the right side because we have our light coming from that side. So I kind of want them to be a little bit brighter on this side. There we go. Okay, a little bit heavy on the bottom, but who cares? We're going to put bushes there anyways. So nice, we've got this tree. I'm going to copy it again. Using my move tool, I can move it aside. I'm going to resize it. And I can place it right at top. So you guys notice it's going behind those trees because I got to grab this tree layer and pull it down underneath those. There we go. Now it looks a little bit better. I've got this tree again. I can copy it one more time. Grab my move tool, resize this guy, maybe flip him however you want. It's up to you. You're the artist. Make your trees look fun. But I'm moving him lower down on the hills. That way it looks a little bit better. And finally, I could even grab this guy that I've been working with. Let's push this tree. But make sure your layers are in the right area. There we go. So now we've got a bunch of trees on the like outside of our image. So looking good so far. So if I wanted to, I can merge down. I could merge my trees all the way down if I wanted to, or you could leave them in separate layers, but so far so good. Oh, there's my mist. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna create another layer at the very top. Now I'm gonna create some nice bushes over here. So going back to my brush layer, I'm gonna be grabbing my 7 brush and I'm gonna rotate it. I wanna rotate this brush a bit because I want it to be on the rounded part going up. Yeah, just like that. Turn the size down just a smidge. All right, so now I'm gonna create some bushes. I'm going more towards the yellowish green. And I'm just going to stamp some bushes right over here. Oh, that one was a little bit too dark. Be careful about how much you're stamping. You don't want to overdo it. Bushes are a little bit more like dynamic. Now I'm going to pull up to lighter color. And I'm just going to stamp a little bit more of the bushes right down here. Maybe I want to put some happy little bushes over here, the way Bob would say. They pretty much look like the same texture that we had with the clouds. All right, so that looks fine. I think that overall, this is a good composition. You can get creative. You can put in like a winding path. You could put in a river if you want to. You could create more trees. You could put some birds in. Please, please do not do this if you decide to do birds. Grab a black color and then draw this in. I've had so many people that did that. It does not look as clean. You want to, first off, birds aren't going to be the super black color. You want to use a lighter gray if you do that. And you want to do a really thin, like, line, maybe something like that, if you want to. And that could even probably become smaller. So my recommendation is just say no to the birds. You don't need them. Oh, look, I erased it a little bit and they look like they're in the distance and it makes them look even more natural than having pure black up there. But that is my composition. Make it your own, pick your own image. Just showed you guys a few basics with blending, with using smudge tool. using the copying layer option to create more trees at a faster pace, stamping and blurring. All these can be used to create this composition. Have fun with this and good luck.